Hello, everyone, and welcome to Developing Palates. I am Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is June Liu. How you doing, June?
Good, man. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
That's right. The
Yep.
uh, the heat's coming just in time for a nice weekend. So,
Mhm. Yep.
all right. So tonight we are talking about the Bugatti Quattro Claro Toro. So try to say that four times real fast. Lots of every word ends in a vowel, so it's a fun way to say it. So this is a Toro, 6 inches by 52 ring gauge. Um, Factory is unknown at this time. Haven't been able to find that out from Bugatti, but it's supposed to be from the Dominican Republic. The wrapper is a Mexican San Andres Claro, which I'm not sure anybody else has advertised that. Usually it's just listed as Mexican San Andres or Maduro. So this is a bit of a differentiator that so far it's the only one I'm aware of that touts it. Binder is Dominican Olor, and the filler is Dominican Habano and Nicaraguan Habano. The blender is unknown on this, as well as the release date. Like I said, Bugatti's been a little slow to get back to me on that information, but the MSRP on this cigar is $7.25. So with that being said, let's get into our pre-light experience. So June, kind of take us through what your pre-light experience was with this cigar.
Okay. Well, before I do that, do you know? So you know how you're talking about Mexican San Andreas and some. I've seen just namely people say Mexican San Andreas.
Yeah, so it could be very
Uh,
well be Claro as well. It's just not they're not differentiating that.
yeah, because I see Maduro here and there.
Mhm.
Never. I don't think I've ever seen Mexican San Andreas Claro, but I mean, with a lot of these like classifications, there's no set standard for it.
Right.
But I do wonder what made them deem it to be Claro versus like when people say just Mexican San Andreas versus Maduro. I mean, I think that's more like the color of the wrapper leaf. No.
Yeah, typically I think that's the case,
Okay.
but they also have a Maduro version of this cigar, so I think that they wanted to just differentiate the two somehow.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right. Anyways, so pre-light experience. For the look of the cigar, it was a fair run of the middle look of the cigar. I personally like a cigar that's box pressed to some extent. It has a better hold for me, and when I put it on the table, it doesn't roll around and come off. So aside from that, it was the cigar was pretty smooth feeling. Um, One thing that I noticed is my example, anyways, had really like just jam packed tobacco in there,
hmm
and it didn't have much of a give, and the give was it was just really hard feeling, right? So
right.
just a lot of tobacco in there. So I was thinking at that point, hopefully, it didn't cause any draw issues or burn issues. And then the veins were well pressed. The seams are pretty tight. Uh, my head had a quadruple cap on it, which I
hmm
don't see very often. So that was cool because it kind of made me, um, it made me know that in the event, I get I'm a dry smoker, so I don't like having wetness around the head,
Right.
and I could just clip into it that much more if I needed it to. So that was good. The aroma, wrapper aroma, I mainly got a bunch of barnyard muskiness and some dry cardboard. When I smell the foot, I got some white pepper. Uh, and this note sounds gross because it is. I got this. It's so like when I lived in the Midwest in Missouri, and sometimes you go to these basements
hmm
that's too humid. There's this moldy smell to it.
hmm
So I literally said moldy basement.
Right.
I really got that. It's not just like some bullshit that I put down. But
Yeah.
and then on the cold draw, I namely got just you know aged cedar or just cedar that's just kind of been sitting down to get beaten on the sun, and there's still like a fate of it, but it isn't like pungent cedar.
hmm
And then I got some dry, like really like a sweet jammy kind of stone fruit to it,
Right.
and that was a really that was a pleasure to smell.
Cool.
What about you?
Yeah, wrapper was like a dark leather type brown color. There was a lighter color that was kind of outlining the veins, and there was like two of them that kind of ran the length of the cigar. Um, the seams were really well blended; they were almost invisible. And like you were talking about the quadruple caps, but they were applied so nice. Like the cigar was like perfectly rolled. Like there was no imperfections. So I just thought that was like pretty impressive. Um, I mean, probably as good as I've ever seen a cigar put together.
Oh,
Um, the bands were super simple, but they're elegant because it's white with some gold on it, and just kind of the way that it mixed in with this colored wrapper of brown was pretty nice.
oh,
The aroma from the wrapper was really faint leather for me. I didn't get really much there. But the aroma from the foot was like a mix of like rum and raisin. It was fairly sweet, and
no.
it smelled really nice. And then on the pre-light draw, I got that same kind of rum and raisin, at the same time, which was really nice. Knowing that it's not going to probably translate into the smoking experience, but that was impressive to me. So I mean, I thought the pre-light was fantastic. Like this could be a model cigar that you could use as a everything that you'd want to aspire to. So let's get into flavor then. So first third to final third, what was your experience with flavor?
So first third, what I immediately realized and recognized was the body of the cigar was really airy for me.
Hmm.
It was definitely like a medium minus to just light.
Right.
Um, so um, that I typically don't get that with non-Cuban cigars.
Hmm.
Some of the Cuban stuff, especially that are vintage, I definitely get that, and typically that's a sign of me feeling like the cigar has kind of reached its peak. But in this instance, even though the body is really light, I got quite a bit of flavors out of it. I got that. I got this moldy musk, got leather, coffee, dried cherries, dried biscuits, and like a generic wood.
Hmm.
Um, but what was interesting is, in the midst of tasting all those flavors I just mentioned, I didn't taste any spice
Right.
through just smoking through the mouth.
Hmm.
And But on the retrohale, I was able to get a little bit of that uh, wood flavor. I mean, spice flavor, which it really could have used to especially try to build up more of that body and to just kind of have more of a spice kick to it.
Hmm.
So speaking of the retrohale, I got charred wood, a really good note of these. What I got out of it was like a sweet dried cherries,
Hmm.
biscuits, and a lot of sweet cream. And the finish was like a moldy musk, a little bit of a sweet dried cherries, and aged wood. Um, so first third, uh, great notes, but body being a little too thin for me.
Hmm.
So when I moved on to the second third, luckily for me, the body picked up, so I was able to just get like a consistent medium body cigar. And also within the first third, and throughout the entire cigar, the strength was just medium for me. But second third, the body picks up to a medium, getting coffee, leather, still that jammy, dried cherries that are really sweet. I started to get some bitterness, especially that's associated with some dry nuts that you taste is just inherently a little naturally bitter.
Hmm.
Um, and then just like the first third, there wasn't much spice through the mouth smoking, but through the retrohale, I was able to get still that same charred wood, which was good. Um, so the second half of that second third, that musky leather came back, or that moldy kind of musky leather came back.
Hmm.
So moving on to the last third, body strength, still medium. Um, got musky, moldy leather, cedar mixed with sweet cream, and that cedar mixed with sweet cream was really good. And in general, I really dig that flavor. Something with having a sweet, creamy cigar and like a woody note mixed in
Right.
does it for me. And still that same bitterness from dried nuts. I got a couple of draws or so of cardamom, which was unique and it kept the cigar smoking experience interesting.
Hmm.
and then the St. Biscuits. And at that point, I just got like a sharp minerality to it. And then I got coffee and cream, and I was able to get more of a spice of a black pepper spice, but still naming out a retro, but more so on the mouth draws. And on that finish, it was namely a bitterness and a generic dried wood. So I like to denote when I typically talk about bitterness, it's not a favorable flavor.
Hmm.
But in this scenario, I liked it because it really helped wrap up the flavors together.
Hmm.
What
Okay.
about you?
Yeah, right when I lit it up, I got like a slightly sweet cedar along with some nuttiness, but that just lasted for like a couple of draws, and then the nuttiness went away. The retro hail was generally woody and had a little hint of cream on the finish. Um, the cigar had a really clean and fresh finish. It wasn't minty, and I'm not really sure how to explain it other than that it was fresh and it kind of kept my mouth feeling cool. Um, And about halfway through the third, the sweetness went away. The cedar remained the core flavor. A little bit of creaminess in the background. The retrohale had a little bit of a vegetal note, and I'm not sure if that kind of played into that clean finish, that fresh and clean finish that I was getting. It was very interesting. As it continued, the cedar stayed as a prominent flavor with a clean finish, and the retrohale was fluctuating between woodiness and the vegetal flavor. And the strength in the first third was between a mild and a medium for me. Second third, it was kind of a continuation of where the first third finished. Cedar, slight cream. The finish was getting maybe a little minty at that point, but it was still very clean and refreshing. About half an inch in, I got a bit of mustiness on the retrohale, and then the retrohale transitioned to a subtle mintiness that went along with the mustiness. Um, an inch and a half or so in, some of the sweetness came back that I was getting in the first third, but nearing the end of the third, the cedar transitioned to slightly charred oak, and the strength level moved up to just slightly below medium. And then in the final third, the flavors started to become a little darker with the charred oak, and then some of the bitterness that you were talking about came in there. The mintiness and the mustiness on the retrohale was still there, but a little bit of that charred oak was then making its way into the retrohale as well. About half an inch in, the retrohale was just carrying the mintiness, which is still very refreshing, and that clean finish that I was getting in the first two thirds was not present in that final third. It was more of those darker flavors. An inch in, the char left the profile, and it was really just oak and mintiness, and the mintiness just like really was just cloying on the tongue. So it was just really just like a super long finish with it. As the cigar finished out, the mintiness faded back quite a bit, and the oak became the dominant flavor there. And the strength at that point got right on medium, so that it had gone up. But that fresh sensation and feeling was just it was good. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was not something I've really experienced in a cigar before. If I have, it's been such a long time that I don't really recall it. But it was completely different than most any other cigar I've smoked before. So it was.
Did you? So I take it. So my predominant flavor that I got throughout most of the cigar smoking experience was the muskiness.
Uh-huh.
Um, it seems like that wasn't for you, right?
No, primarily it was like cedar that then transitioned to like an oak.
Huh.
That was kind of like the core set of flavors.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like super dominant. It was just like you got a light flavor of it, but it was a very like clean finish. And like you said, for me, like pretty much there's no spice throughout the entire cigar. And I don't know if that's what makes it stand out for me as being different. And when I see different, I'm like, okay, this is completely different than most cigars where there's some spice in it. So it's like
Uh-huh.
it's a good cigar, and then it's a complete departure. So if you're like in the mood for like, I don't really want something spicy or heavy tonight. I just want something real light and like refreshing. Like I don't know if you're talking like beer. Like I want a hot weather beer where it's just like super refreshing.
Uh-huh.
Like maybe you go for like this cigar fits in that profile for me where it's like it's hot, but I want to smoke a cigar, but I don't want to feel like I'm getting beaten over the head with spice and strength. And
Huh.
You guys like I don't
Yeah.
know. It was just
No,
very
I
different.
hear you. It's like so my analogy for the beer thing is like on a hot summer day, where especially in the West Coast, a lot of people are hopheads and they want that double IPA, triple IPA,
Right.
right? But since they've introduced kind of like that session IPA,
Uh-huh.
it's like the marathon drinking kind of a beer, right?
Or like a
Uh,
Kolsch or something like that. Just something really
yeah,
light. You know?
yeah, or like a lager, or just something that's really refreshing, crisp, easy drinking.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I hear you.
All right, so let's get into performance a little bit. So talk about burn and draw.
So burn for me was really good. I had consistent, very solid 1.5 inch mark ashes. The burn line was pretty sharp throughout the entire cigar. Uh, the draw, the draw was average though. I had a little of a tight draw, but nothing to like completely focus my attention away from the flavor experience.
Hmm.
And with these things said, the tightness of the cigar that I felt in the pre-light experience caused no issues on the actual construction, so it was good.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, the burn was fantastic for me. Just like you said, inch and a half, chunks of ash before I tapped off. I was just like, I don't want it to fall on me, but it never dropped on its own. There might have been a little bit of flowering, but like it didn't. It wasn't flaky or anything like that. So like there weren't any portions that fell off. It came off all in one piece. So I just thought it was really nice. And the ash was very very nice and white, and it was very tight. So it
Mm,
wasn't coarse. It was just very fine. So I thought that was nice.
yeah.
Draw for me was really really tight in the first half of the cigar. I wasn't like when I first started off. I was like, oh man, I hope this doesn't really affect the cigar because I was getting some good flavors there. And I don't know if maybe the tight draw actually presented those flavors or not. I can't say, but kind of at the midway point, it kind of loosened up on its own, and it was still tight, but it was not as tight as it was before. So I gave it an average score in regards to draw. It wasn't.
I'll sorry,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna ask you how far did you cut through that cap?
I didn't go very far. I probably didn't cut through the first cap.
Oh, okay.
But I
I
didn't
had a
want
double
to.
cut it actually, and it opened up for me.
You know what?
Um,
Actually, what I want to say is that when I did the cut, I didn't actually cut through it the first time. I like did a little. Started to squeeze it, and the cap just popped off.
oh,
So, but I was
okay.
like, it was weird because like there was a little. It was like there was a little step down
Yeah,
where like there was still the tobacco. So I was like, I'm gonna cut it anyway. So I did the cut, but still it was fairly tight. So, but I
uh,
didn't go to a second cut or anything like that. So
yeah.
just let it go. All right. So overall, what was your experience with this
Uh,
cigar?
I thought that this is a run of the middle cigar for me. Um, I, I, so some things that I liked and some things that I did not like. So starting with the stuff that I did like, I mean, really like coffee, leather, that jammy dry cherry was just amazing. But what I didn't like so much was the overwhelming amount of that moldy musk that I tasted so much of.
Hmm.
And I didn't like the fact that I didn't get much spice in the cigar. For me, one of the things I do look forward to for a flavorful cigar smoking experience is spice. And I find that spice oftentimes rounds out the character of the sometimes the body as well as just encapsulates the entire flavor as well.
Right.
But I think about how they classify this as a Mexican San Andreas Claro. Perhaps that was their intentions of not having it, much spice forward of a cigar.
Hmm.
Uh, so, so that given those things, I always say that this is a cigar that I wouldn't recommend to pair with any flavored beverages.
Hmm.
I think this guy will be best smoked just drinking, palate cleansing beverages such as like water or sparkling water.
Hmm.
And I think if you were to pair with a flavored beverage, it'll really kill a lot of the nuances of the cigar.
Right.
But you know, I am interested in smoking the Maduro Mexican San Andreas version.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that will give me more body and more depth of flavors that this one kind of hit the mark for me.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting cigar. the flavors and finish were super clean and fresh the first two thirds, and then it became a bit darker and fuller in the final third. It was just unique. I don't think like I said, I don't think I've experienced that fresh and clean flavors and finish like this cigar brought. But I thought the strength level really fit that profile, where it was mild to medium at the start and never really got past the right on dead medium strength level. So I think that fit well. Other than the tight draw, the construction was fantastic. Burned really well. It looked fantastic, even though that doesn't factor into our scores. I would recommend this cigar to like new and experienced cigar smokers. I mean, a new smoker is maybe not going to get the nuances, but it's not going to be a cigar that offends them in regards to strength or body. So they can enjoy it. But an experienced smoker, like you were talking about, if they don't pair it with anything that's got flavor to it, they'll be able to get some nice nuanced flavors from this cigar. And I think after you smoke this cigar, if you want to smoke multiple cigars in a day, start off with this one, and you're well on your way to enjoying the second one. It's not going to be something that sticks around on your palate and affects the secondary cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And any time of the day type of smoke, maybe better off in the early, in the morning or the afternoon for you. But I mean, if it's a really hot evening, I think this cigar would be a nice, refreshing cigar for you head to bed. I would definitely see myself, going back and trying this cigar again. So score-wise, you gave this cigar a 4.93, and I gave it a 6.73. So how do you think the score shook out for your experience?
That sounds fair. So 5 being an average cigar for a scoring system, this is shy of an average cigar, slightly shy of it,
Yeah.
and that's mainly attributed to the first third that I had, in which what killed it was just the depth and the body of flavors in the first third for me, and that's what is mainly attributed to it. But and then it kind of got picked up by the well constructed aspect of it. So I'm good with that score.
Yeah, I think my score is right on to my experience. The first third was fantastic. Second third dropped down a little bit, but was still very good. The final third was like a pretty far departure from the rest of the cigar, and what the flavors became darker and not as refreshing as it was before. But I think it was good to have that transition there. Otherwise, it may just have been too light the whole way through. But I think it was still good. So yeah, I think that my score is good. If nothing else, it's a complete departure from most cigars that are out there in regards to that experience. So if I revisit this cigar on a maybe a bi-monthly basis or something, just kind of change things up for me, I think it would keep my interest and be something that I would keep going back to. So, any closing thoughts on the cigar, Jiunn?
Going back to the whole Mexican San Andreas Claro, Mexican San Andreas in general, I mean, throughout the different, there's a ton of Mexican San Andreas that's out there, of course. But in some of them, the body will just hit you so deep and so full, like that TAT TAA 15 we had.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this was just absolutely the other side of the spectrum. And perhaps Bugatti made this one to smoke in the earlier of the day, or as a first or second cigar of the day. But I am interested in smoking that Maduro for sure.
Yep.
And I'm hoping everything that I experience within the lighter body, and then kind of like that deepness of flavor will take care of it on the Maduro side. So
Right. Yeah, this will be a very interesting kind of look to see these two different cigars and how the Claro versus the Maduro kind of shakes out, because if you can maybe add a little bit of spice or something like that with some of these other flavors, that it might be an even better mix. But we'll just have to kind of see how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's a wrap for this review recap. Be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And I think that's it. So thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot, Jiunn.
Thanks.
All right, and we will catch you all on the next one.